What's going on, Ronin Clan? Welcome back to the channel. We got a lot to get into today, but before we do, I'm gonna need you guys to do the normal things. Take a look at the analytical stat bar, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and don't forget to drop a comment to feed the algorithm. But with all that being said, let's get into What If Ash and Paul Traveled to Unova, Season 2, Part 8. I hope you enjoy. We begin today's episode with Paul and Iris as they enter the boundaries of her hometown, Opelucid City. Their trip from the beaches of Humalau have taken about a week, to which it should have only taken 2 to 3 days. Unfortunately, Iris has been dragging her feet, doing whatever she can to prevent them from arriving, as there seems to be a reason she doesn't want to be here. However, Paul didn't really care. This is the site of his last badge, and where they're supposed to meet Ash, so whether she likes it or not, they were going to end up here eventually, and Paul was the reason why they ended up getting here in a week rather than 2. Iris's insistence on procrastination has really been getting under Paul's skin as of late, and this has caused him to be a little bit more abrasive than usual towards her, and she doesn't really seem to understand why. However, there has been one thing that has been made clear. Iris seems to have an issue, particularly with the gym leader of Opelucid City. However, whatever that issue is, she seems to be tight-lipped about it. Not that Paul would care about it either way. But unfortunately for Iris, regardless of how she feels, the two soon find themselves at the gym doors. Iris is almost in tears, pleading with Paul not to go inside. She doesn't think she's ready to face DIDNT. Regardless if you're ready, I have to in order to get my final badge for the league. So whether you like it or not, I'm going inside. It's your choice to wait out here or to come inside with me, Paul says as he enters the building. Reluctantly, Iris hangs her head as she follows him inside. However, the two won't have to wait long as they are greeted with the sight of an old companion, Ash and Pikachu, as they are in their final moments with the gym battle against the leader, DIDNT. Infernape's blaze has taken effect and given it the power that it needed to crush this Haxorus, ending the battle and earning Ash his 8th and final badge of the Unova region, the Legend badge. So, it seems your skills haven't dulled, Paul says, catching both DIDNT and Ash's attention. While the Dragon-type master is stoic and doesn't really respond to anything, Paul is excited to see his friends. It's been about a month and a half since they last parted ways, and he is eager to catch up with them. However, Paul and Iris quickly find that Ash is not alone, as the one person that this all started with, N, is present with him. Before Paul can say anything, N addresses him. So Zekrom finally chose you, did it? Wait, how did you know? It spoke to me long before we had even met. It needed you to come to terms and get over things with your Electivire before you would be able to handle the power that it was trying to bestow upon you. But it's good to see that you found yourself and your Pokemon. That means that Zekrom and your bond is truly one. This is where DIDNT joins the group with a very deep This causes the attention of the group to shift to the gym leader. However, his gaze is on none other than Iris. Internally, she is panicking. This was the exact thing she was afraid of, and now she has to face DIDNT down. However, what she was mentally envisioning is the exact opposite that happens, as DIDNT grabs her, lifting her in the air, telling her that it's so good to see her. He was really worried about her. This confuses Iris, as when she left, she wasn't exactly on good terms, and she kind of abandoned her teachings under the tutorship of the Dragon Master. The only thing she can do is question DIDNT on if he is actually mad at her or not. Oh, my heavens, no. I knew that you may need to walk your own path. I was just upset when you had left because I wasn't sure if you were in any type of danger or not. I really wish you would have said something to us. It would have been okay with me if you wanted to follow your own path. Sometimes that's just what people have to do. And I can see by the look of your Axu and the confidence that you've gained, it was exactly what was needed. Suddenly, all of that internal dread that Iris was feeling just melts away, knowing that DIDNT still has confidence in her. However, this is quickly changed when DIDNT requests to test her newfound confidence with a Pokemon battle. He wants to see if she truly was able to find what she was looking for out on the road. This is where Ash encourages Iris, telling her that he is really strong. Infernape was able to win, but it took its Blaze ability to activate before it could actually beat that Haxorus. So if you want to become a Dragon Master, DIDNT's definitely the one you want to battle against. All Paul can do is hang his head. It's like Ash wasn't even present for the conversation that just happened. However, Iris eventually comes around to this idea, accepting DIDNT's invitation for a one-on-one battle. After all, she has a a new Pokemon that nobody but Paul knows she has. So with that, those two head to the battlefield, preparing themselves for a one-on-one battle. This is where Paul requests to talk with Ash. There's some things that he needs to fill him in on since they've been apart, to which Ash agrees, as a lot has happened to him as well. And because N doesn't really have an affinity for Pokemon battles, he decides to join both Paul and Ash, considering this conversation does concern both the white and black stones. Outside of the gym, in a very private place, Paul begins to unload, telling everything that has happened to Ash. He explains about Reversal Mountain, to which N confirms that that is the resting place of Zekrom, and that is where it's meant to be. However, Paul was unable to deliver it there, and Team Rocket was the ones who interfered with it. They dug something up, something that Giovanni had referred to as the Reveal Glass. It ended up being some sort of ancient artifact that controlled a Pokemon known as Meloetta, and the three forces of nature that we were battling against. Wait, you mean Landorus, Thundurus, and Tornadus? That's right, Paul says. It caused them to transform into these more powerful primal versions of themselves, and it took everything that Zekrom and Electivire had to put them down. It's here that Paul pulls out a piece of the reverse glass. The only way we were able to stop everything was by shattering the mirror, and this is the only piece that remains. However, we were able to stop Team Rocket, as Jesse and James took their boss to Arceus only knows where. Hopefully, we won't be seeing them again. So how about you, Paul says? Were you able to get the stone to the ruins that they needed to be at? Well, I did make it there, Paul says. Unfortunately, we ran into some problems. What kind of problems? He asks. Well, Team Plasma was there, searching for the white stone. They had taken N captive in hopes of gaining any type of information. So me and my Pokemon interfered, trying to save N and stop Team Plasma all at the same time. Unfortunately, we were met with some unfortunate circumstances. Team Plasma has a dragon that is very similar to both Zekrom and Reshiram, and it was able to best Infernape when it was transformed. What do you mean best Infernape? Exactly how it sounds, Ash says. Infernape lost. This dragon was like a cold and emotionless husk. It sapped all of the heat from the air, causing Infernape's transformation to fade. And then there's Crocodile. What, was it still being a menace? The last time I saw you guys, it wasn't really listening to you. It was more than that, Ash says. It tried to attack me, literally trying to end my life. Luckily, Infernape was there to stop it. But then during the battle with Team Plasma, it did something that I didn't think even it would do. It took the white stone after Infernape's transformation faded from battling that ice monstrosity, and it gave it to them. It gave it to Team Plasma, and then Crocodile just took off, and I haven't seen it since. Paul clenches his fist. He can feel nothing but anger. He's angry at Ash, but he's also angry at Team Plasma. I knew it wasn't a good idea to leave you alone, Paul says. This is my fault. However, N contradicts this, telling Paul that he did exactly what he had to do. There was a reason that Zekrom was pulling you to Reversal Mount, and you went there. And because you did, and because you trusted Zekrom, you were able to stop Team Rocket from using the power of Meloetta and the theory and forces of nature. So you did exactly what you needed to do, and you were exactly where you needed to be. Don't be hard on Ash or yourself for making a choice that you knew was right. Okay, so where do we go from here then, Anne? Unfortunately, we don't know. We haven't seen nor hide or hair of Team Plasma since they got the white stone. It was at that point that me and Ash decided the best course of action was to come here to talk with Drayden and earn Ash his last gym badge in the process. Well, what were you able to find out from him? Actually, we never got that far because Ash wanting to battle Drayden took over, and well, you saw the results of it. And replies as he looks at Ash, yeah, but now that I got my badge, that means we can talk with Drayden, and then after that, Paul, you can battle Drayden as well so you can get your last badge. Paul says nothing, merely contemplating what their next course of action is because it seems that neither one of them has thought about it. But his thoughts are interrupted when both Iris and Drayden come outside, telling our heroes that they had a great battle. So why don't they come inside so everybody can get to know each other? Once inside, Paul gets right to the point, asking Drayden what he knows about the white and black orbs. I appreciate your tenacity, young lad. If you would kindly give me a moment, I'll be more than happy to answer this question. You see, thousands of years ago, Unova was a very different place. The Pokemon you know as Zekrom and Reshiram, they didn't exist here. But one day, a visitor came from the stars, an asteroid carrying with it something that wasn't natural to this world. It slammed into the force of the earth with the might of a god. This phenomenon is what caused the original single landmass that existed here on Earth to break up, causing all of the land to divide across the globe to form continents and different regions. However, that asteroid, the center of it, is what remained here in Unova. But it wasn't just a normal asteroid. There was a visitor that was now trapped here on our planet, and it was a being of great power. It had the ability to influence facets of nature like no one else before it. But this creature could also be influenced by man, individuals with strong truths or ideals. This eventually caused the creature to split into 3 different beings, 3 different dragons, the ones you know as Reshiram and Zekrom. But what most people don't know is there is a third one, Kirim, the original body of this creature, if you will. It is devoid of any and all virtues, waiting for someone to make it whole once again. However, over the course of history, Zekrom and Reshiram have come to play a very important role in the ecosystems of the region of Unova. You see, every 1,000 years or so, they will awaken, spending their time absorbing as much of nature energy as they possibly can. And then, when it comes time, they will revert back to their stone forms and head back to the places that we call the white and black altars. It is here that they spend the next 1,000 years dissipating the energy that they have absorbed into the Unova region, allowing for nature and the weather to flow in a natural harmony. But every so often, something happens that forces the dragons to sleep prematurely. However, if they are forced to sleep before the cycle ends, then they will not have enough energy to dissipate back into Unova, which could cause catastrophes to form in the balance of the nature in the region. So, in order to help this, they choose avatars that could handle their power, as they slowly spend their time gathering up as much nature energy as possible before they truly begin their next cycle. That's why your 2 Pokemon have been chosen. The elements of fire and electricity are the base nature elements of your 2 Pokemon and those 2 dragons. They were perfectly compatible. However, in order for them to be able to lend their power to these avatars, the trainers that they are with, they have to be of a sound mind and soul. If they are not, and the Pokemon do not have a perfect alignment with them, then it will cause the avatar Pokemon that they have chosen to run wild. That's exactly what happened to Electivire, Ash says. However, Paul doesn't acknowledge him except for to say to be quiet so he can finish listening to the story. Drayden goes on to tell the 2 that their Pokemon have been chosen and it is their job to make sure that both Zekrom and Reshiram get the energy that they need before their next sleep cycle truly begins. If they don't, then it will be at the cost of the future of Unova. Great, Paul says. And Ash doesn't have his stone anymore. That means that we have to get it back. Yeah, I know, Paul, but I don't even know where to begin to start looking. Well, I have one more thing that I have to take care of before I can help you. Pulling out a Pokeball, Paul challenges Drayden to a gym battle tomorrow. First thing, he wants a chance to battle Drayden's best at their peak, so he wants to make sure they're well rested. Drayden simply laughs. I'll be more than happy to accept your challenge. On one condition though, I want you to use your full power. I want to see the power that Zekrom has bestowed upon you. Paul simply smiles. Oh, don't worry. I don't intend on holding back. That night at the Pokemon Center, Ash gets a chance to talk to Paul one-on-one once more, inquiring about his strategy to take on the Dragon Master. This is where he learns about the Pokemon Junior World Tournament that they were in, and how Alder was acting funny throughout the whole thing. And Paul came to find out that Trip is the grandson of the regional champion, which explains a whole lot if you think about it. And Paul also explains that Palpitoad evolved during his battle with Iris to clinch him the match, allowing him to face Trip in the finals. While Paul won the tournament, he still lost his battle against Alder, which he's a bit sore about, but his hope is that he'll get into the Unova League and get a chance to face the champion again, whether it's 1-on-1 or 6-on-6. He knows that next time, the results will be different. Ash then asks Paul what his plans are for his gym battle in the morning. What's his strategy? Paul tells Ash that he really doesn't have one. Normally, he is very tactful when he enters gym battles, but Drayden requested that I use my strongest Pokemon, and that included Electivire, so I know for sure that it will be involved. But as for the other ones, I don't really know at this current time. Well, it's going to be a fun battle to watch, Ash says, as we fade to the next morning. Paul and Drayden find themselves standing across from each other inside of the gym. The 2 say nothing, but share a look of intensity. Drayden is curious about this guardian of the Black Stone. He wants to know what kind of power he truly wields. The ref declares that this will be a 3-on-3, and the battle will be over when one side's Pokemon are all unable to battle. Then, he calls for the start of the match, with Drayden wasting no time sending in his first Pokemon, Flygon. The dragon type beats its majestic wings as it soars into the air, ready for its first opponent of the day. While Paul was having trouble deciding on his choices, he knows the perfect Pokemon to take this on, something that can match its speed, power, and bounce. As it declares, Seismitoad, stand by for battle. Paul's newest evolved Pokemon hits hits the field, springing into action. DIDNT wastes no time taking the first move, ordering his Flygon in with a rock slide. However, Paul is quick to counter this with the mud shot. Iris comments that was a pretty intense move. However, Ash just follows up saying that they're both testing each other out right now, trying to get a feel for what the other can do. And this is evident when DIDNT tells Flygon to climb as high as it possibly can. They're going to try something fun. However, Paul isn't the type to let anybody get the advantage on him, ordering Seismitoad to jump as high as it can and catch the dragon. However, this is exactly what DIDNT was hoping for, as he orders one move that could set Paul's entire strategy off kilter, with a dragon tail that drives Seismitoad right into the gut back down to the ground. While the move itself wasn't that bad, it has an unforeseen effect as it sends Seismitoad back into its Pokeball, forcing Paul to choose his next Pokemon. This is where Paul finds out what DIDNT's strategy really is. He understands who exactly he's trying to bring out. He wants Electivire. However, Paul doesn't want to resort to Electivire right off the bat. He wants to conserve it for as long as possible, as he's not still fully sure on what DIDNT can do. So he makes his second choice for the match. Emboar, stand by for battle! The Fire Pig hits the field, snorting a burst of flame, signaling that it's ready to take on the dragon type hovering above it. Not quite the choice I wanted, DIDNT thinks to himself. However, we can still make this work. Flygon, use Earth Power! The dragon dives steadily into the ground, causing the gym floor to begin to crack and become molten underneath the feet of Emboar. However, Paul's not going to let his fire type just take the damage, ordering a fire pledge. Using its thick arms, the pig punches into the ground, sending bolts of fire through it that find their target in Flygon, scorching the dragon as it takes back to the air, letting out a brief cry of pain at the first damage it has finally taken. While this Pokemon isn't the one he was hoping for, he is happy by the choice, as he gets to test the merit of this fire type a little bit more, as he orders Flygon in with another rock slide. Suddenly, boulders begin to hover around it as it uses its tail to bat them down at Emboar, trying to hit the wild bacon in order to cause some damage. But again, Paul has the perfect counter in this, calling for an arm thrust that steadily breaks the boulders, shattering them as the two Pokemon meet eye to eye, with DIDNT making another command for a Dragon Tail. This again has the same effect, forcing Emboar back into its Pokeball and Paul to choose another Pokemon. However, he's not going to play DIDNT's game, sending back in Seismitoad. Still not the Pokemon that DIDNT wants, but he can play this game for a while. However, Paul is of a different mind. He's not going to let this old man chip away at each one of his Pokemon until there's nothing left but one fresh one. So he needs to end this with the next couple of moves. However, luckily for him, he has an idea on how he can finally get this Flygon into a position to where he could end a battle-ending blow. It starts with Flygon's next move, Rock Slide. DIDNT seems to want to use this as a momentary diversion. However, Paul knows exactly what he needs to do with this, telling Seismitoad to use the boulders like platforms as they come flying towards it. Jump from boulder to make its way up until Flygon. That way, it can't use that moment of temporary blindness to get an upper edge on them. This movement catches DIDNT off guard, as Flygon can't get a lock on Seismitoad as it's jumping from boulder to boulder. This is where Paul turns DIDNT's trick on him, ordering for a sludge wave that blankets the field of vision for Flygon, blinding it in the process. Quick, Flygon, use another rock slide. Try to break this, DIDNT orders. However, it's too late as Seismitoad has made its way to Flygon, and with one fail swoop, hits it with an icy wind that drives it into the ground, and ending the battle with this 4 times effective damage on the dragon type. Impressive, young man. That was quite the show. I didn't think that you would be able to figure out my strategy that quickly. You seem to be a very tactician-style battlist. I can't wait till you get to see my next Pokemon. However, Paul says nothing, merely focused on the task at hand. This is his 8th gym badge, and he's not going to let some old man prevent him from earning it. Wasting little time, DIDNT sends in his next Pokemon. Hydreigon, go! The triple-mouthed lizard emerges with a ferocity that strikes fear into both Seismitoad and a little into Paul. This pseudo-legendary is very powerful. It's something that is noticed right off the bat by everyone in attendance. However, Paul isn't going to let this stop him. He chooses to keep a distance until he understands what this thing is capable of, ordering a Hydro Pump from his frog. However, he quickly finds out why this Hydreigon is so powerful, as this Hydro Pump is countered with a Dragon Pulse, and it's not just one head that counters, but all 3. The power is overwhelming as the darkness of this Dragon Pulse pushes through the Hydro Pump, driving Seismitoad into a wall. While this isn't enough to end the water type, it's clear that damage was massive, and one more hit like that could end its tenets in this battle. Knowing that it's best to give it some rest, fast. Paul recalls it, choosing for his fire starter once again. Embor, stand by for battle. The fighting type hits the field with a thud, ready to take on the pseudo-legendary. Paul chooses to use type advantage here, hoping that Embor's fighting type will give him just the edge needed to put the pseudo-legendary down and get him one step closer to his gym badge. Paul starts the battle with a fire pledge, hoping to catch this thing off guard. However, Hydreigon is no fool, and neither is its trainer, as they simply order a Dark Pulse that easily overpowers the move, hitting Embor. Luckily for Paul and the pig, there is a resistance to the dark type move, so this prevents a massive amount of damage. However, Paul can't let it think it can get a free hit like that in again. He needs to lure Hydreigon in, and he thinks he has just the way to do it. Embor, are you good to go? The pig snorts a bellow of fire once more, signaling that it's ready. Alright then, it's time to turn on the fire. Use Heat Crash! The pig surrounds itself in fire as it barrels down the field, throwing all of its weight into this tackle. However, DIDNT has a move specifically set up to counter fire types, as he orders Hydreigon to use a Zen Headbutt. While the dark type is easy for those two to resist, a psychic type move is a completely other story, and Paul can do nothing but watch as the two heads that are on the arms of Hydreigon crash into the pig, stopping it cold, or so DIDNT thought. This is exactly what Paul wanted, as he knew this would trigger one thing from Embor, its blaze, as the flames around it begin to surge, intensifying its heat crash, giving it the power to push through the Zen Headbutts and actually connect with the full body of Hydreigon. However, this is not enough to drop the pseudo-legendary, as it merely just shakes off the fire type attack that it just took. Luckily for Paul, Embor is now enraged for close-up fighting, and this allows it to fire an arm thrust at the command of its trainer. While two of them are actually able to connect, the third and fourth one are caught by the two heads of Hydreigon, while the third one lets out the final attack of this battle, a Dragon Pulse that drops Embor, ending any hope that Paul had of his fire type gaining a victory here. Recalling Mr. Pig, Paul stares silently at the ball, proud of what his starter was able to do. Still wanting to preserve his last Pokemon, Paul chooses Seismitoad, stand by for battle. Hitting the field once more, Seismitoad is ready for its third and final stand in this fight. It's going to do whatever it can to try and cause any damage to this behemoth of a dragon. DIDNT takes the first move, calling for a Dragon Pulse. Luckily, Seismitoad has the speed to jump out of the way just in time before getting hit. This allows it to counter back with the Mud Shot that is able to actually connect. Paul realizes that he's going to have to stay as long range as possible if he has any hopes of dropping this dragon with Seismitoad. So he goes on the offensive again, ordering a Sludge Wave. However, Hydreigon has the perfect counter for this, ordering a Flamethrower that just incinerates the poison type move. What can we do, Paul thinks to himself. There has to be some way to create an opening. However, with those three heads, it's easier said than done. This is where Paul notices something about Hydreigon. One of its heads, the left one, it seems to be struggling a little bit, like it can't stay completely up. Maybe Embor's arm thrust did a little bit more damage than he thought it did. This could be his opportunity. So instead of trying to take on all three at once, let's specifically target them. Try and take it out one by one. This is where Paul orders Seismitoad in, breaking his plan for a long-range attack. Seismitoad is easily able to avoid a Flamethrower and a Dragon Pulse, getting in close, and then at the command of Paul, lands an Icy Wind on the left head. While this isn't enough to drop the dragon as a whole, it does freeze that head, preventing any more attacks to come from it. However, this did come at a cost, as now Seismitoad is pushed back into the gym wall with a Dark Pulse that ends this battle. Paul recalls his Toad happy with the results that he just received. Now, his final Pokemon can bring them home. Electivire, stand by for battle. The Oni hits the field ready to take on any challenge that's placed before it. Finally, DIDNT says, let's see exactly what this thing can do. With the start of the battle, DIDNT orders Hydreigon to use a Dark Pulse. However, Electivire is the most conditioned Pokemon that Paul has, and this simply won't stand up to a simple Brick Break from the Oni, driving it through, allowing it to crack one of the heads with the fighting type move, quickly dropping the dragon and bringing it to an end. Not even a transformation, DIDNT thinks, and he was able to do that with an Electivire. This is going to get good. DIDNT recalls his pseudo-legendary, preparing for the final battle. Iris knows exactly who's coming out. DIDNT's oldest and strongest Pokemon, the ace of his dragon squad of Unova. Haxorus, your turn. The Axe Dragon hits the field, staring down Electivire, ready for the challenge that stand before it. This is where DIDNT engages with Paul once more, telling him that he wants his very best. He wants to push his dragon to the limit, and he wants to see what the Chosen can do, what they are truly capable of. You want to see the extent of our power? Fine then. Pulling out out the black stone, Paul tells Electivire it's time, as they begin to resonate, taking on the transformation. The Oni is now surging with electricity as it pulsates in this new form. Drayden is happy with what lies before him. He can't wait for his Haxorus to get a chance to test its might. The battle starts off rather cordial, with the two testing a Dragon Claw with a Brick Break. While Haxorus does hold its own, it's apparent from the start that Electivire was holding back. Alright then, Haxorus, use Dragon Dance. Jiggling majestically, the dragon focuses, raising its speed and attack power. Now let's try that again. Use Dragon Claw. Once again, it is met with a Brick Break, and to no surprise, Electivire is still able to hold it off. This causes the Dragon Master to become a bit stern. Surely a stat buff like that would have been enough to cause some sort of damage. Well then, let's go for Dragon Dance ×2, Drayden says. Once again, Haxorus does whatever it can to tighten its attack and its speed, increasing its levels far beyond the normal capability of its species. Let's just see how tough you are, Drayden says. Haxorus, it's time. Use X Scissor. This is where Paul finally decides to put a little bit of effort behind his attack, ordering Electivire to use a Fusion Bolt. The Oni jumps into this roof of the gym, nearly disappearing with how dark it is. Then, in a flash of light, drops itself on top of Haxorus in a flare of electricity that surges throughout the gym. While this was not enough to end the dragon, it's clear that Haxorus is after that exchange. You wanted our best, Paul says, so let me show you exactly what we can do. Electivire, it's time. We're no longer holding back. Use Bolt Strike. The Oni begins drawing in electricity into its body, focusing it into a fist, like it's going to make a punch. The amount of power that is surging at its fingertips, it's clear that if this Bolt Strike hits, it'll cause great damage to the gym and everything around it. This is where Drayden tells Paul to stop. He forfeits. He is satisfied. Paul has demonstrated his ability to wield the stone on a master level, and as a worthy guardian of it. Without hesitation, he approaches the boy, presenting him with the 8th and final badge of the Unova region, the Legend Badge. And that, my friends, is where we are going to end today's story. How did you guys feel about this part? Are you happy that Ash is back with the team? Was Iris truly able to resolve all of her issues with Drayden? Did you enjoy Paul's gym battle with the Dragon Master? And of course, are you ready? Because the next episode, we get to start the Unova League, and best believe things are going to start flaring up. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. And that's all we had for today's video. I really appreciate you guys stopping by to watch all the way to the end, and I just wanted to say thank you for that. If you guys really enjoy my content, consider following me on some of my other platforms like Discord, where you can get to know other people who are interested in what ifs, or on Twitter, where I post sometimes behind the scenes updates. Or if you want to help the channel grow a little bit extra, why don't you consider donating like the people right here have, as whatever you could offer could help us get to a larger audience by helping us get new videos done, or some of the projects that we've been working. Custom art is getting kind of expensive, so we want to make sure that we have the funds to do that. But with all that being said, I really hope you guys enjoyed everything, and I will see you in the next video.